For a decade now, Geoff Keighley has brought the Game Awards to viewers across the globe. Keighley's experience within the industry had him working on Cybermania in '94 and afterwards the Spike Game Awards. He's no stranger to award shows, and it showed the first few years of the Game Awards. He knew a successful format to run on. Unfortunately, we've seemingly departed that format, particularly in 2024. Since the 2014 Game Awards, Geoff Keighley has collaborated with publishers, designers, and manufacturers in the gaming industry. For the very first year, Keighley even managed to secure the first gameplay trailer for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. In the past, something like this would have been shown off at E3, which was at the time the single most important show for video games. Each year, the Game Awards has seemingly gotten bigger, and bigger. A perfect storm for lack of any sort of Game Awards, and unknown to the industry at the time, E3 was on its way out. The last in-person event at E3 was held in 2019, and less than a year later, the world would be rocked by COVID-19. Part of this almost global restructuring post-pandemic was the end of E3 in 2023. Funnily enough, the stars aligned pretty well for Keighley's show. In 2019, the Game Awards was thrust into the limelight. It was being tracked more and more by media outlets, and VentureBeat published an article praising the once-a-year show. The Game Awards balances revelations, gamer culture, and celebrities. The in-depth interview with Geoff Keighley goes over the impact that the Game Awards had already had, but also the backlash from the gaming community as a whole. VentureBeat said that purists tell Keighley that it should only be about awards, but he said that polls suggest that gamers favor the revelations. The combination of awards and revelations gives the game creators the largest possible audience for their big moments. Although I'm sure that was true in 2019, as the years have gone by and change has rifled the industry, I wonder if the Game Awards has been lost in the overconsumption that has already ruined most creativity in the gaming industry. At the 2024 Game Awards, according to Raj Patel on Blue Sky, the acceptance speeches on stage were approximately 16 minutes of showtime. That's only about 8% of the entire show. And I think we can put a bit more perspective on it. In 2022, Christopher Judge won the award for Best Performance. The full clip on YouTube from the time the announcement was made to the end of the speech was 9 minutes and 9 seconds in running time. That is over half of the time allotted to the awards and speeches in 2024. For these 16 minutes of time dedicated to awards, only 50% of the awards were given out in a formal setting. The rest were rapid fire in between showing off brand new shiny games. If you go back on the Game Awards live stream, it stayed relatively consistent in runtime since 2019. 2018 featured a slightly longer show, and notably was the last time we saw the Content Creator Award being accepted in person. Ninja would be the last content creator of the year to have an acceptance speech, and eSports hasn't been featured on stage since 2015 from what I could find. When, and my memory completely forgot about this one, Shaquille O'Neal read the nominees and winner out on stage. What a wild time to be alive. But also what a fun time to be alive. I know weird celebrity appearance is probably a thing on most of our bingo cards while watching the Game Awards, but I do wonder if getting people from other industries involved was part of the charm of the early shows. We still have someone, this time it was Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets, appear once in a while. But it's just not that late 2000s vibe that the Game Awards captured so well in the beginning. When watching the Game Awards, and I'm trying to phrase this as graciously as possible, it's interesting to hear Geoff Keighley say one message consistently. The Game Awards were made for gamers and developers to honor those creating the games we love, and to look back on the year we had. While I do believe this is the intention, and I think Geoff Keighley has had an incredible career in the gaming industry, I do not believe that is the goal that the Game Awards is currently completing, or even working towards. As we continue to pull time away from developers, from acceptance speeches, from highlighting the work of those nominated, we move further and further towards the other side of the Game Awards, a giant advertisement for developers. Back in the mid-2010s, the biggest launch time for video games was E3. It was a time for developers, publishers, and journalists to come together and test out the games releasing the next year. Besides Gamescom or PAX, which still don't offer the exposure that E3 did at the time, there wasn't really an opportunity for developers to get the news out to gamers, unless they took control themselves. Which, in the modern age of streaming, most developers have started to do. Nintendo's countless directs, Xbox and PlayStation starting with an at least annual live stream, allows consumers to get the news directly from the publishers, in the way that they want that information presented. It's unclear whether or not the Game Awards slots are paid advertisements or hand-picked. I had sent an email to the Game Awards asking for clarification, but almost a month later, I still haven't heard back and I'm not expecting to. There's nothing on the website detailing the process from what I could find. So if a studio either doesn't catch the attention of the creators of the Game Awards or can't pay the fee to be on stage, they're only left with Gamescom and PAX nowadays. But what's perhaps most frustrating about the Game Awards in recent years is how they've begun to segregate indie games from AAA titles. Similar to other award shows or conferences where developers can show off their game before release, the Game Awards has treated indies like a plague not to infect the sought-after status of AAA. If Keighley wants to resharpen those journalistic instincts, it's a moment for him to highlight all of those indies that will not receive nominations. They will be hidden among the thousands of other new releases on the Steam Store, Nintendo eShop, and never be featured as a free game on Epic Games. There will be no Xbox Game Pass offer or PlayStation Now offer for these developers. There will be no support from the big guys. There were two moments that, outside of the orchestra, captured the true spirit of what the Game Awards is intended to be. Remember that line for remembering the year in gaming? One, surprisingly, was led by Keighley in the very first Game Changer at the Game Awards. I mean, why not add another award? It's not like we don't have enough, seeing as 15 are rapid fire throughout the show. But I'll digress for now. The Game Changer is a significant step towards highlighting what is important within the Game Awards, designed to highlight a member with high impact in the gaming community who helped uplift others within the industry, went to Amir Satvat. And I'm a little surprised it did. Not that he didn't deserve it, I think he did, but it was given to him for helping find others jobs in the gaming industry. Given the lack of love the Game Awards historically has shown developers during unprecedented layoffs, I never expected the Game Awards to give such a prestigious award to someone looking to counteract what the companies who likely fund most of the Game Awards are causing. This moment showed us that the Game Awards can still recognize what is important and what we want to hear about, but did not cement that they are striving for change in the industry given the countless trailers shown almost immediately after the award. This brief 6-minute segment is like a drop in the bucket, considering the length of the show. But hey, we're now up to 24 minutes of content instead of advertising? But the secondary moment, whether this was planned or not, came from Sven Vink's speech before presenting Game of the Year. And I think, if anything, I would implore the Game Awards, especially Geoff Keighley, to take special note of what was said during the speech before reading out the winner for Game of the Year. Vinka, when speaking about the games that will win in future years, had this to say. They created it because it hadn't been created before. They didn't make it to increase market share. They didn't make it to serve as a brand. They didn't have to meet arbitrary sales targets or fear being laid off if they didn't meet those targets. And furthermore, the people in charge forbade them from cramming the game with anything whose only purpose was to increase revenue and didn't serve the game design. He continues to say, they didn't treat their developers like numbers on a spreadsheet. They didn't treat their players as users to exploit. And they didn't make decisions they knew were short-sighted in function of a bonus or politics. They knew that if you put the game and the team first, the revenue will follow. I implore all of you who have not seen it to go watch what Vinka has to say. It is the last award given out, and I'll put a link below for those of you watching on YouTube. When we forget that at the heart of the industry, it is driven by passion and creativity, we lose what gaming is meant to be. Video games are important. They touch countless lives of those around us, and I have a feeling if you're listening to this, they've had a huge impact on you too. I'm not asking the Game Awards to launch full into a stuffy Academy Awards type show. I think it would be just as, frankly, insufferable to sit through if we had it that way. But there's a balance to be struck, and 2024 was not the year that they were successful in doing that. Unless you know each and every game nominated in the category, at times you're left wondering what games we're even celebrating. Bring back acceptance speeches and bring back showing us a bit about the games that are being nominated, even just a brief look. Because if we really want to focus on how the games industry has changed, evolved, and is continuing to expand in future years, there are many, many opportunities. Right off the cuff, we have the chance to highlight the history of fighting games when presenting the Best Fighting Game Award. One of the only history books written on video games is Like a Hurricane, The Oral History of Street Fighter II. And it only exists because of employees at Polygon that were passionate enough to sift through the reads and find the answers for everything. The Game Awards can play an important part in history preservation, and it feels like, at least in 2024, we're they're just choosing not to. If the Game Awards is truly meant for us, for gamers, for the consumer, then make it less like a 3.5-hour long ad and show us why these games matter as much as you claim they do, Keighley. I will be tuning in again in 2025. I hope not to be as disappointed as I was this year. My name is Alana, and you've been listening to Beyond the Button Mash. You can join the discussion for each episode in the YouTube comments or on Discord. Beyond the Button Mash is available on major podcasting platforms like YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Thanks for listening.